Hello, I'm Dr. Michael Bookhardt. Come join us at our newest clinic location at Good Faith Wellness Center. We provide compassionate health care for your entire family, from virtual visits to office appointments. We're committed to providing the best care. We accept all insurances, and we provide monthly wellness plans. Let's start your family journey to a healthier, happier life. Schedule your appointment today, and remember, true wealth begins with good health. All right, everyone. Good evening. Good evening. Sorry, we're off to a little bit of a late start. We had some technical difficulties, a couple of audio glitches, and Instagram was not being our friend. But we are here live in the place in the building. I have Hinds County Sheriff Tyree Jones right there backstage. He's ready, eager to talk to all of you. So I want to say welcome to Telehealth Tuesday. This is your go-to podcast for insights on modern healthcare and wellness solutions. I'm Dr. Michael Bookhardt, your host. Today we have a very special episode lined up just for you. Before we get started, I want to let you know that Telehealth Tuesday can be viewed on multiple platforms, including our YouTube channel, which is Dr. B TV. That is Doctor, the word spelled out DOCTOR, the letter B, TV, and also our clinic information on Instagram, Facebook pages alike. Make sure to follow, like, share, tag, and subscribe to Dr. B TV to help support this amazing program. Now, again, I know we're running just a little bit late, so I'm going to speed through Sheriff Jones' amazing bio, and I'll let him tell you a little bit more about himself as well. Sheriff Jones has served over 20 consecutive years with the city of Jackson. He started off in the police department from a police recruit through the ranks all the way to the position of commander prior to his departure from there and on over to the sheriff. During his tenure with JPD, he served in various divisions, including patrol operations, DEA, task force, robbery, homicide, detective, patrol sergeant, investigation sergeant, and the list goes on and on. Sheriff Jones graduated from St. Joseph Catholic School in spring of '96 before he went on to study at Tougaloo College and Belhaven University, business administration. Went to Jackson State University. He was studying criminal justice and corrections as well. He's been working since the age of 22, serving in various roles in law enforcement. He's an esteemed member. And I don't know him that well, so I won't joke with him too much about being a Kappa, but we'll get with him because, you know, it's only black and gold. But it says he's an esteemed member of Kappa Alpha Psi, Gamma Rho Chapter Tougaloo. He and his wife, Manya, Manya are the proud parents of Chandler, Morgan, and Addison, reside in the city of Jackson. So again, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, again, I know we're a little bit behind. I want to bring out the man, not the myth, but the legend, the man himself. Hear ye him, Sheriff Tyree Jones. Give it to him. Let's see. Okay, can you guys see it? I don't see you on there, Sheriff. Let's see. It says offline. You guys stay right there, everyone. I see you in the background. Let's see if this works. Let's see. 1 second. Well, I tell you, he's trying to do it to us tonight, isn't he? Let's see. Let's do this. Try to bring, because it's saying an offline there. All right, let's try that.
There we go.
Okay, can you see that? All right, there we go. Man, how you doing?
I'm doing good, brother. Good to see you, man.
Good to see you, man. Sorry about those technical difficulties. Instagram was not kind of working right, set up. They have their own thing. As I tell everyone, I have to monitor that separately than all the others. So they were just giving us a problem. But nevertheless, the good Lord's on our side.
There you go.
That's it. My good brother, Sheriff, would you like to weigh in on anything I said? I don't know if you want to add. Because I know for the people that are living under a rock who don't know who you are, I don't know if you want to add to that any other information about where you're from or your family or anything.
No, man. I think that was good. I think you covered everything. I will say that I am a lifelong resident here in the city of Jackson. This is where I call home. This is where I've called home all of my life. This is where I chose to raise my family. My kids are educated here. And this is where I have been providing service for nearly 26 years here in the city of Jackson in Hinds County. Now, I will joke with you just momentarily about the Kappa deal.
I knew you were going to get me.
Yeah, so I will tell you this. My son actually just recently pledged Alpha. down at Alcorn State University.
Good
So hey,
man. He's a good
man,
man.
it's all about service and the divine nine,
That's
man.
right.
So
That's right.
that's what it's all about.
Oh, absolutely. We all just a little banter. Of course, like you said, man, we're all members of the D9 and we love everyone. We're all brothers in the end. So, man, I wanted to get started here. And again, oh, by the way, I want to just say thank you so much, Sheriff, for your service for like 26 years, man, to the citizens of Jackson and Hinds County alike, man. We really appreciate you.
Appreciate it, brother.
Absolutely. And now you got a new role. Tell you know what, if you want to weigh in on that, tell us all because I actually was going to have when I met Chief Wade personally, we were doing a men's conference and I was on a panel and he was the main speaker. And I said, man, Chief Wade, I've been wanting to meet you for a long time. He said, oh, good to meet you, Doc. And so I asked him to come on the program and he said, yeah. And it was right around the same time that you guys made the transition. I heard that big news and I said, oh my goodness. So he said he still wanted to come on, but I didn't have a direct contact to him. So anyway, how has that been with you transitioning to interim police chief as well?
It's been quite the experience. I will say that. Let me give kudos first of all to Chief Wade for his
Absolutely.
30 plus years of service to the city of Jackson, and to
Absolutely.
be able to work his way to be able to work his way from a police recruit to the rank of police chief is definitely commendable. So he should be
Absolutely.
commended for the job that he did and the service that he provided. And
Absolutely.
I did have a very good working relationship with him during his tenure with the police department, all the way up until his departure. So we have to give kudos to him. But
Mhm. Yes, indeed.
as far as my role is concerned right now, I'm just here for what I would consider short-term sustainability for the police department. People ask me how you able to effectively operate in both roles. Well, of course, I have to dedicate some of my time to the police department as well as the sheriff's office, and this is pretty much daily. But at the same time, I have a staff that's with both the Jackson Police Department and the Hinds County Sheriff's Office that do a very good job. And they are ultimately the ones that are responsible for the day to day operations of each agency, respectively. So we have to make sure that they continue to do the job that they do. And that makes it a whole lot easier for me to be able to operate in both roles. So again, I'm just here for short-term sustainability
Okay.
until they finish the process of search and selecting a new chief, and then once that happens, I will step down from my position. But
Okay.
whoever the new chief is, I look forward to working with whoever they select for the new chief.
Absolutely. I know everyone's got the work cut out for them, but I think you guys, man, I know you're off to a great start, man, and also this year and going into the next year, it's been so much going on, and we'll get into a little bit. Um, but how do before I get started with some prepared questions, how do you just keep it all together? Kind of staying grounded. I know you're a family man, but how do you stay grounded with all the you've got to do these interviews almost every day. You got to deal with violence every day. I know there's positivity as well. It's not always doom and gloom, but how do
Yeah.
you just stay sane, man, and grounded?
So, first of all, I'm grounded and rooted in faith. First
Hmm.
of all.
Amen.
So, with that, I'm a firm believer that the Lord will guide me in the right direction as He's done during my career. And of course, I am faced with making some very tough decisions, both professionally and administratively. So you have to be prepared for that. That's the road that I was elected to be in, and at this point, the role that I was appointed to be in. So, you have to stay grounded in your faith. You have to have a good support system. You have to surround yourself with your family, your friends, and those that have your best interest. Because there are times where you're going to need their support, and there are times where you're going to have someone that you can, I guess, vent to, speak with,
Mm-hmm.
and to be able to share some of those sensitive moments that you experience with. So, and another thing that I do, I try my best to take care of myself physically. I am active as it relates to my health. Like I got up this morning, got on my Peloton bike, and rode about 24 miles this morning on my Peloton bike.
24 miles.
24 miles this morning. So,
Oh my gosh.
I average a couple hundred miles a month riding on my Peloton bike and doing some other things to keep me physically fit. But these are things that's very important. And another thing that's very important, Doc, and you can also attest to this, is making sure that you address your mental health as well. And at this time, at the stage of my life, and at this particular time in my career, if there's something that can wait till tomorrow, that's
Mm-hmm.
perfectly fine.
Okay.
That's perfectly fine. It's okay to go home, take a pause, take a break, go home, decompress, and come back to it tomorrow.
Okay.
Because there are times that relaxation stage or that decompression stage may be broken due to some type of emergency or an urgent situation, and you have to be able to be prepared to address that immediately.
That's right. That's right. Uh, that's so. Wanted to highlight that. I put 24 miles, y'all. But that's so important, like you said. And then, the older we get, when people, as we're all approaching, middle age, and people are and who are older, like you said, making sure to keep everything moving, keep those hips flexible, and it's so important. Like you said, it just the physical. We look at physicality and say, okay, well, a person has a broad chest, flat stomach, and big arms, and all those things. They're working on their own. Some people only see the physical, but even just that physical exercise impacts your mental.
That's right.
So I'm so glad that you highlighted that.
That's right.
But I want you all to know that, see a few people that are just joining, that we are live. We are here with Sheriff Tyree Jones, Hinds County, also interim police chief. So if there are some questions that you have always wanted to ask this gentleman, if you can't catch him on all the news stations and the specials, he's right here. Telehealth Tuesday on Dr. BTV. We're here to take your questions. I'm going to proceed with some things that we prepared, just like every episode. But if there's some things that you want to ask, I won't say there's no question off limits. I won't say that, especially with his role. But hey, nothing is rehearsed, as you can tell. And so please make sure to come on here with your questions, comments, even concerns. And you guys feel free to interrupt me at any time. So first question, um, Sheriff, what are some of the biggest health challenges that you've seen affecting your law enforcement officers, both physically and mentally?
Not being physically active. And when we say physically active, it really doesn't take a lot. You have a lot of officers and people that are first responders, fire, uh, law enforcement specifically. They're involved in a lot of bodybuilding, right?
Hmm.
And that's good. That's what they. That's not only a sport for them, but that's pretty much a profession for them also
Hmm.
outside of the job. But when we're talking about the physical aspect of it, it doesn't require a lot. It doesn't take a lot. People think that you have to be able to, like I said, get on a bike and ride 24 miles to be able to go and run 5, 6, 7, 8 miles. It's not about that. It's being able to dedicate some of your time to do something physically, right? Uh, Sometimes it's just 30 minutes a day to be physically active, whether it's walking, a light jog, weights, doing something to make sure that you keep yourself physically active.
Hmm.
Even with me, and I've been doing this nearly 26 years, I still feel like at any point in time, even with the roles that I am in right now, I can be subject to have to respond to something a call, or I can walk up on something where I may have to be able to address it physically, right?
Right.
And I want to be able to effectively address it physically because that's very important. Not only is it important for you and your body, but it's also very important for the decision making,
That's right.
also, right? Because if you can address a situation physically, and you can address it effectively physically, then that won't make you make a wrong or bad decision about how you are addressing a particular matter. So, we encourage officers. We encourage them to stay fit, to do something to make sure that they are physically active. And again, it's not just about the physical part of it; it's being able to mentally decompress while you're doing these things. Also,
Hmm. That's interesting since you said at any point, you may have to, and that's very eloquent. I like the word you say, you have to address these individuals. But let's just since you said that, with gentlemen in your role and also police chiefs alike, we often see you guys in the community, and we see you at churches and local places and on TV a lot. Do you guys actually? So do you all still, or I speak for you? Do you still have to work the beat, as they say sometimes? Do you still do that? Or?
well, no, I don't. I don't necessarily work a beat, but at the same time, I'm still familiarized with the
Okay,
beat. I'm still
okay, I got
familiarized with the areas. I still have to respond to calls.
you.
If
Okay,
there's an officer or a deputy that's on a traffic stop and I'm passing by, or I hear something on the radio while I'm in the area, and I may need to respond to bag someone up or to again address someone because
okay.
when it's all said and done, I may be the sheriff,
Hmm.
right? And I am, of course, the interim chief of police, but I'm still a law enforcement officer.
Right.
And I
Okay.
still don't put myself above anything when it comes to addressing calls or responding to a call. If I need to get out
Okay.
and help direct traffic, I don't mind doing that.
Okay. That's really important to know because like I said, I didn't even know that that was something that you all did in this role. So that's very important to know. Um, I had one friend of mine on there, Vance, police officer. I know you probably know him, man. Big jokester, man. We go to the same barbershop, Vance, crazy guy, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, I
Yeah.
had him on.
Listen, I
Yeah,
I trained I trained Vance when he
you trained him,
graduated. I trained him when he graduated from the police academy. And
man.
I tell you a short story right quick. We were riding and we heard a call go out and where a gentleman had fallen out of a boat in part of the Pearl River while
Mm.
he was fishing. And this was December and it was cold. And I asked Vance, I said, "Hey man, can you swim?" And look, he thought I was playing, and he said, "Yeah, man, I can swim." Well, long story short, we ended up going and responding to the call. We end up taking off our kit, duty gear, part of our uniform, and we ended up going into the water and actually helping save this guy's life this particular day.
Wow.
So that's always a story that he tell people that when I was training him, I asked him, could he swim? Little did he know he was getting ready to go in the water with me.
Man, look, I just sent him a text. I said, me and the sheriff, we talking about you, brother. So I said, I don't know if you can log on.
Yeah,
Yeah, I had. Yeah, that's an amazing story. He was on here. I'm looking at our text. November 12th. Yeah, he was on episode 14, building bridges with community involvement. So yeah, he was.
yeah, yeah,
That's awesome, man.
yeah. Great fella, great fella.
Yeah, man. I like that guy. Um, and the interesting thing, so for a lot of people that don't know, I was doing just some research before the show, and I was speaking with my mother, by the way, who had her 84th birthday just yesterday, Sheriff.
Oh man, happy birthday to him.
Yeah, thank you so much. So we were talking this evening, about 45 minutes or an hour ago, and I was looking up the differences between the roles of sheriff and police chief, and it's saying the sheriff is an elected position, and usually police chief is appointed, and it was saying the different, the different responsibilities. So I just kind of learned a lot from Googling that, like who has different responsibilities. And I don't know if you want to weigh in, but it said that the sheriff, because you're over the county, a lot of times those other municipalities, like outside of the city and stuff, that you have duties of dealing with that and making sure to secure like courtrooms and different things and outside of the city, whereas the police chief is dealing with all kind of things law enforcement within the city. But it said they're both equal. It said neither one is necessarily higher. They just have different duties.
Yes, you're absolutely right. The the sheriff, of course, is an elected official. The sheriff has dual responsibilities. The sheriff is responsible for operating the jail as well as law enforcement, and like you said, courtrooms, court security, and court operations.
Mhm.
But you know, you still have to be able to work with all of the law enforcement agencies within your county and the municipalities. If you go out into the rural area of the county, and I'll just say maybe Terry, we'll just say Terry. So you have a city of Terry, right? And then you have a rural or county part of Terry also,
Right.
where the sheriff's office is primarily responsible for that rural area of Terry, okay? And then you have the Terry Police Department that's responsible for the municipal area of Terry, right? And you still have the same thing. You have Terry, you have Bolton, you have Byram, you have Clinton, you have Jackson, you have Edwards, and you have Utica. All of those respective municipalities have their own police department, right? So we are there to help and assist and support those police departments. But again, we're still primarily responsible for those unincorporated areas where there is no police department.
Hmm.
And we house detainees in our jail, not only for the sheriff's office, but for all of the municipalities and towns that I just named. When they make an arrest
Okay.
and there's a pretrial detainee, we are responsible for housing them in our jails.
Okay. Okay. And speaking of that, so one thing I always wanted to know, because a lot of people say, well, if you're in a different, I guess a different city, different county, then say if you see a JPD officer, I'm just using Jackson, but this question was asked to me over years. They say, man, is it true that say if you're in a different city, so you see, I'll just use Jackson Police Department, but you're in a different city and somebody is speeding, of course, not me, of course, but somebody is speeding and you're not in Jackson and JPD is just sitting there, maybe they're going to Chick-fil-A or whatever, and you speed past them. They say that they cannot pull you over. Now they say highway patrol or maybe a sheriff can. Is that true that if you're out of their jurisdiction, they cannot pull you over?
Well, let's not say that they can't pull you over,
Okay,
okay?
all right, all right.
Now, I was inside Jackson. Of course, a Jackson police officer does not have jurisdiction outside of that respective municipality, right?
Mm-hmm,
Whereas the sheriff's office, yes, we do have jurisdiction countywide, anywhere within the county.
mm-hmm.
The other agencies that I named earlier, respectively, they don't have jurisdiction outside of their town or that municipality. But now, if you have a Jackson police officer, and I would just use that as you did as an example, and say maybe they are driving through Clinton, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there's something that an emergency situation or something that they need to address, then by all means, yes, they should address it. But at the same time, they should be calling in that respective agency to
Okay,
come in and take the primary role of that. But now you
okay,
won't have a Jackson police officer in Clinton running radar, vice versa. That happens within that respective agency. But if there's someone that is and causing an imminent harm to the safety of the people and
mm-hmm.
the public, by all means, yes, you should address it.
You should. Okay, okay. Yeah, I always wanted to asked it, man. I forget to ask it when I've talked to different officials and things. Um, so another question was, how would you say, how does stress, before we go to that question, I wanted to know, because, we see all this stuff in the news, tensions are high. People are, angry from the White House on down. People, no matter whatever your political affiliation, people are upset. There's a high stress, it's a stressful environment, a lot of depression going on. The SNAP benefits and everything are going to run out. A lot of people are upset. I know Governor Tate Reeves put a statement out. Somebody shared it on Facebook. So there's just a lot of tension and a lot of angst and things going on. So with that said, and unfortunately, because we know that not every officer's bad, not every officer's good, but a lot of us are worried that this is going to cause even more kind of, friction and pressure, citizens and law enforcement. So my question is, how do you guys, deal with that? Because we see the people that are, you just see all the negative, in the news where the office, somebody makes a movement and the officer already had their hand on their gun and they, shoot the person and they're killed. And then you got Al Sharpton marching and all these other people. So anyway, my question, so how do you all deal with that? Is there training for the officers? I mean,
Yeah.
how do y'all deal with all this stuff?
Yes, training is very important. Um, Not only we talk about firearms training, but there's so many other training scenarios that an officer should go through to be able to address issues. A lot of times when we come in contact with someone in our profession,
Hmm.
we're coming in contact with someone that's having a very bad day, right?
You're right. Yeah.
Whether it's self-inflicted bad day or as a result of someone else, it's still a bad day.
A bad day.
So you have to be able to sometimes address these issues with them, to be able to empathize with people
Hmm.
sometimes. So everything is a case by case situation on how you would address it. There's no such thing as anything routine about this job. There's
Hmm.
no such thing as a routine traffic stop. There's no such thing as a routine call for service. Everything is different. People are different that you have to address.
Yeah, that's right.
Behaviors are different. People's responses are different. And you can't always control how people may act, react, or whatever. But you have to be trained and you have to be able to address these issues. And it goes back again to decision making. What are you doing to make sure that you put yourself in the right position to make the right decision when you're faced with some of these situations? Again, because you come into contact with someone that is having a bad day.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a case by case situation. Is sometimes situations can be escalated
Hmm.
based on
That's
the behavior of the person that you are having contact with. And at that particular point, you have to be able to step to the next level of whatever it is that you need to do to not only protect yourself, but to protect the person that you have come in contact with, as well as people within that immediate area if they become a threat. So, and I look at what happens nationwide, and we've been very blessed and we've been very fortunate here at home that some of these scenarios and some of these situations have not hit us here. Okay.
that's right.
And you have to contribute a lot of that to the men and women that are out here working on the front lines day to day. They're operating professionally. They're making good decisions. They don't always make the best decisions, right?
That's right.
But overall, they make good decisions. And they don't put us in a position where we are in a national spotlight, as you see throughout the nation.
That's right.
If
Agreed.
you, if you look at my television right now, my television is on CNN. I can sit and I can watch CNN and I can watch the news all day because to me, there's always something that you can learn from these broadcasts and things that you can learn from watching it. Um,
Hmm.
it's not a matter sometimes of if something would happen. It's a matter of when it would happen. And
Absolutely.
when it happens, what do you know? How are you able to address it? What can you do from a leadership standpoint to be able to address these sensitive situations?
Hmm. Yeah. you know, and I can't even imagine, being in leadership and being in the position that some of you guys are in, and when that's happened. But that's a good point you made that that Jackson has not been on the national spotlight, for those type things. I see Kanoa said, "Thank you for your leadership, big brother." Yeah, good to see you on there, man.
My guy
Yeah,
Kanoy, what's up,
yeah.
brother?
I got my frat brother and our chapter president, Dr. Driscoll Duvall. He said, "Yeah, Sheriff." On the Instagram side, he said, "Yeah, Sheriff's a good brother." Hey, Driscoll, look, I joked with him earlier, but look, we're gonna have an intake soon. It it might be a little too late for him, but
Hey man, hey, yeah, man. Driscoll, longtime friend, church member. We grew up in the church together. So great guy, great family, just a great person overall, man. Know him well.
yeah, awesome. I put his comment. Let's put his comment up there. He says, on the Instagram side, we salute the great work that you're doing. He has a question too. How do you manage your time as sheriff and chief? Prayers for you daily.
Hey man, that's a good question, and people ask me about that all the time. You remember what I said earlier about some things can
Hmm.
wait
That's right.
until tomorrow. So it's about time management. It's about being able to balance the two. One office is right across the street from the other. I can literally walk right across the street and be at the other office. So again, there are things that I have to do on both sides daily. And believe it or not, there are times where I can go home at 4 or 5 o'clock in the evening. And when I get home, I'm not bothered from either side for the rest of the evening, the rest of the night. So I'm able to get
Okay.
home, exercise, or do whatever it is I need to do with my family, and to be able to rest, and do it again the next day. And there are times where I may have to come back to work later in the evening. I have a break in the afternoon. I go home, I exercise, get myself back together, get dressed, and get back at it for the next few hours or so. So it's about
Okay.
time management, it's about balance, and it's about prioritizing things. And if you are able to balance those things, then yes, you can do both, and you can be effective at both.
That's interesting. I've got Jamie, a good friend of mine from up in Maryland. She's been tuning in a lot more these days, and we appreciate your support, Jamie. And so put the comment up there. She says, it was a comment, I maintain my training, even though I'm not an officer. I enjoy spending time at the range. Sheriff, I want to piggyback on that. What say you about, and then we'll get to Jasmine's question. What say you about civilians, you know, uh, doing that, going to the gun range and being able to operate guns and things like that, firearms safely? What say you?
Well, according to the Constitution, civilians have the right to bear arms, but civilians should bear arms legally and responsibly.
Hmm.
Be able to familiarize yourself with whatever type of weapon platform that a civilian chooses. Familiarize yourself with it, know the operations of it, know how to handle it, and know how to properly discharge it. Also, that's very important. People shouldn't just go and buy a gun just to say, "Oh, I have a gun," right? And you're not able to effectively operate it, because when that time comes where if you need to operate it, you're not familiar with it, or if you're not familiar with it, you can end up hurting yourself or hurting someone else accidentally. So I encourage people to exercise their right to bear arms. I encourage people to carry. It's the law. Whether you carry on your person, concealed. Of course, you have to have a concealed permit. It's not against the law to have a weapon or a gun in your vehicle, of course, but we just ask people to do it responsibly. We know the ones that are out there negligently doing it.
Hmm.
We know their behavior. We know that their motive and they is totally different than the average citizen that is just exercising their right to bear arms responsibly.
So is that, and then one other question follow up before we get to Jasmine Briscoe. So just for the people out there that are novices and may not understand, when it comes to say a person who, so it's not concealed. Say if you bought a firearm legally, now you don't have any special permit or anything, but you're brandishing the weapon on your person, but you don't have it tucked in, like you visibly walking around with a firearm on your side. Do you have to have a permit to do that?
No, that falls under open carry.
That's open carry. Okay.
That's open carry.
Okay.
The moment you pull your shirt tail out and cover that weapon up is considered concealed carry at
Gotcha.
that time. That's what you have to have a permit for, concealed carry. If you have a book bag, if you have a briefcase, ladies, if you have a purse and you have a weapon in there or a gun in there, that's not against the law because it's not concealed on your person. So you can legally
Oh,
carry it in a bag, in a briefcase, again, legally and responsibly. Responsible is the key word on the other side
right.
of legally when we're addressing and talking about people carrying firearms. When you buy a gun, when you go to the store, say you go to Academy Sports and you decide you want to buy a Glock 19 pistol, you fill out the correct paperwork to buy that pistol. You go through the background check, come back clean. You're able to purchase it. You're not registering a gun. There's no such thing
Mm,
as registering a gun in the state of Mississippi. What that
mm,
is, you have provided the necessary information to the ATF and to be able to legally purchase that gun. If they ever need to do a firearms trace on that particular gun, of course, that gun can be traced back to you purchasing it, but not that gun being registered to you.
okay, that's so the registration of a firearm is a totally different thing.
There's no such thing as a registration of a
Oh,
firearm. People think you register
oh,
a firearm like you do a vehicle when you have to go get a license plate
oh,
for the vehicle.
oh,
No, there's no, you don't
okay,
register a firearm in the state of Mississippi.
okay, okay. Um, and one other thing on that. So that man, that's really interesting. So you said that just so I remember, so our followers understand, viewers understand, if you have a backpack or like you said, women with a purse, even if you don't have any concealed carry permit, because it's not on your actual body, your person, they're okay to citizens are okay to do that.
Yes, yes,
Okay,
that's okay.
okay. Jasmine Briscoe, good to see you. She says, how important is it for a police officer to document when a victim comes into the police department making a complaint? That's one thing. I put it on there, Sheriff, you so you can see it. That's the first part. And then she said, is it normal for several officers to leave over 10 complaints undocumented? Interesting question.
Well, I'm not exactly sure what she's referring to about
Yeah.
officers leave over 10 complaints undocumented. How
Yeah.
important is it for a police officer to document when a victim comes into the police department to make a complaint? If there's a situation that warrants a report, that officers should be able to um, effectively do a report. Whether it's a basic report or if it's a report that needs to be forwarded on to another division. But if a victim comes in, excuse me, and they need to make a report, that officer needs to be prepared to make that report. It's just like if it's an officer responds to someone's house or residence or business, and there's a report required, that also should be prepared to document that report and forward it on to the next division or wherever it is that it needs to go. Now, uh, if there's a situation where someone needs to file a complaint on an officer, then you go to probably 9 times out of 10 that agency is going to have some type of public affairs division or internal affairs division or public integrity bureau or something like that. And they can go to that particular division and file whatever type of complaint that they may have against an officer. And that will be assigned to a detective or an
Hmm.
investigator that will ultimately investigate that particular complaint.
Okay. Excellent. And she and okay, and she had a follow up. Is there a time statute on it? Okay, I guess you're saying is there a time like an expiration on a statute or something like that on attempted kidnapping of a minor? Hmm.
I'm not exactly sure. That's something that probably a district attorney's office may be prepared
Yeah.
to answer, or you can look up the state statute on it and see if there is a time expiration on that.
Okay. Awesome. Let's see. Let's get caught up here on. So, next question. This is my wonderful motherhood. Sheriff, mommy. I don't know if you were already logged on, but Sheriff, wanted to wish you a happy birthday. Earlier.
Yeah, happy birthday.
um,
I had my mom just had a birthday last week. I think you said,
really? Yeah.
yeah, your mom is 84.
84.
My mom turned 82.
Man,
Yeah,
happy
so
happy birthday.
it's a blessing, man.
Yeah, happy birthday to your mother as well. You said it was just last week too.
Yeah, October 18th. Yes.
Okay, yeah, the 27th. So is that still Scorpio? I don't know if that's.
Hey, man, don't get me started on that because I don't know.
Yeah. Well, all right. Well, mom says, what recommendation do you have for young people who shoot someone as the first response to someone who disagrees with him or her?
There's simply there is a lack of de-escalation right there. Now there is you can't de-escalate that situation, and what do? They decide to escalate the situation. They go from argument, lack of conflict resolution, I guess is a better term.
Mm-hmm.
They go from argument to a gun. And when tempers are flared, and again, we talking about handling guns responsibly. This is handling a gun irresponsible, right? If you have a gun and there's a lack of conflict resolution, meaning you cannot come to an agreement about whatever the issue is at that particular time, and the first thing that you decide to do is introduce a weapon to that scenario, someone can get hurt, or someone can get killed.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yep. Absolutely. And she's okay. She said, thank you for um, James Ridgely. Good to see you, brother. Sheriff, what are your thoughts on community policing their neighbors? And Sheriff, what are your thoughts on community policing their neighbors instead of calling the? Oh, okay. Oh, okay. James, you're saying like other neighbors who are trying to be like neighborhood watch or something like that. It sounds like that. Maybe that's what he's saying, policing their neighbors instead of like those neighbors calling the police.
Hey, that's a very good point. And that's something to think about. You know, when we were raised and we came up, we considered ourselves being raised by that village, right?
The village. That's right.
Where your neighbor, friend, someone can hold you accountable for some of the actions, right? And there would be no turmoil, there would be no repercussions, there would be no retaliation. But what has happened so much over the years due to the behavior of people, that has kind of gotten away from us, right?
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes people feel like they can't they don't want to get involved, I guess, in other people's scenarios or other people's situations. So what do? They choose to be quiet. We wish that they were able to work things out. We wish that people can hold each other accountable. We wish that
Hmm.
neighbors can communicate to keep something from escalating and getting to a situation where the police needs to be involved. So that's a
Hmm.
very good point. And that way, police will be able to deal with and address more serious matters and more serious issues. But unfortunately, we have to be involved in sometime what I would consider petty disputes that the police
Hmm.
is not even needed to be involved in.
That's right. That's right. Next question back again from Jasmine. Who do you file with when someone is fraudulently using your home address for proof of residence?
You would file a report like that with whatever respective agency, whatever jurisdiction you're in. So if you're in
Hmm.
Jackson, you can file that with the Jackson Police Department. And if they're using your home address as proof of residence in order to gain some type of service or something, then it can be investigated for that.
Okay. James said, "Thanks, Sheriff." Let's see. I've got a question here. One of my questions was, I know we're right at 8. I think we literally started at 7:15. Sheriff, you think you got about 10, 12 minutes if we go over?
Yes, sir.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much. Um, I want to bring it because I know a lot of people always ask me with these when I bring in interesting guests like yourself, that are, outside of medicine. And I've done that a lot recently. And they always say, man, what's the connection? And so we definitely see how you talked about mental health. You also talked about 24 miles, which is your personal routine on the Peloton. And
Yeah.
so that we're talking about physical exercise, we're talking about mental health. Now we've had several questions on actual law enforcement, but all of that ties in. And so, when what role do you believe that law enforcement can play in addressing mental health before these crises, before this turns into criminal issues?
Hey, man, that's a very good question. So let me give you a scenario, okay? Years ago, when I first got started in this doc,
Mm,
when we had to respond to a mental health episode or someone suffering from a mental crisis or they needed more medical attention, right? And the police have to respond because they are combative, right?
hmm.
You have the ambulance there. They don't want to engage them because they felt that if they engage them, it would be a physical engagement, right?
That's
So
right.
they needed the police. So here we are responding. No crime has been committed. Like I tell people, it's not against the law to be crazy. It's absolutely not. And here we are responding, Doc. And when we respond, we have to address these individuals.
That's right.
And when we address them and we engage them physically, because 9 times out of 10, that's what we had to do, there wasn't much verbal de escalation. There wasn't much being able to identify more of the mental health issues this person was facing. And what happens is when we engage them, 9 times out of 10, we had to end up arresting them, right?
Right.
When you arrest them, they don't go to the hospital. You have to end up taking them to jail. And jail is not the place for someone suffering
Hmm.
from a serious mental health issue or
That's
mental
right.
crisis. They need
Yeah.
treatment. So
Yeah.
what has happened
That's
over
right.
the so what has happened over the years, they have provided more mental health training for law enforcement officers to be able to address someone that's suffering from a mental health crisis so that you don't have to engage them physically. You're able to identify these things. You're trained to be able to communicate and de-escalate situations that could potentially get to where it would be a physical encounter.
Mm-hmm.
We have a very good partnership with Hinds Behavior Health, where we have crisis intervention trained officers pretty much throughout every law enforcement agency in Mississippi. We just had two deputies from the sheriff's office, and I think maybe three officers from JPD graduated from a class last week.
Mm.
They're crisis intervention
Excellent.
trained officers, and
Excellent.
the state by law requires every officer to have a mental health first aid course. Now that's part of their curriculum and that's part of their training.
That's excellent. Is that for JPD and sheriff?
Yeah, that's for every law enforcement agency in the state
Every.
of Mississippi.
Okay.
If
Okay.
you're a certified law enforcement officer, you are required to have that. I think it's called mental health first aid or something like that. Right.
Man, that is excellent because, man, these days it's a lot of someone told me years ago, I don't know if it was a professor or something. They said there's a lot of people out there walking around unmedicated.
Yes, sir.
So we've got several comments that have come in. Let's see who was first here. Well, first let's go back. Christian Vance he sent me some stuff. I won't even say it on the air. He was talking some noise,
I see it, man.
but he put that one on there.
Never a dull moment with that fella, man.
Yeah, man. Good to see you on, Vance. Good to see you on, brother. Let's see. We had a comment from Jamie from Maryland on Instagram. We put on here. Unfortunately, statistics show that young boys who are not raised by their fathers often struggle to regulate their emotions. Yeah, absolutely. Let's see. We've got a couple other comments. I think I missed a question there. So go back to Instagram. Okay. On Instagram, within the law enforcement, it's interesting. Is it okay to use foul language with civilians?
No, it's not. That can be considered conduct unbecoming.
Yeah.
But in full transparency, that does happen sometimes in certain
Oh,
situations.
absolutely. We know that
Yes,
happens.
sir.
Um, all right, let's get that one. Um, we have a serious problem in our communities. Young boys growing up into young men who carry many of their mother's emotions, but lack the discipline and boundaries that come from their fathers. Okay. I do agree with that. Um, I think we've got time for a couple more. We got a few people that logged in. Listen, everyone, we've got time for, let's say, two more questions from the audience. This is Telehealth Tuesday. We're here live, and Sheriff Tyree Jones, also interim police chief, is in the building. I saw Richard Bradley, man, on Instagram. He logged in, so we gave Richard Bradley an M-Bar shout out there.
That's my guy, man. Great guy.
Yeah. Let's see. One of the questions I had was, how important do you believe that collaboration is between law enforcement, healthcare officials, healthcare professionals, and community organizations, like all of us working together? How important do you think that is in terms of reducing violence and improving outcomes overall?
It's very important because a lot of the issues that we deal with daily, again, are social issues. Okay, we deal with substance abuse, we deal with drug abuse, we deal with mental health issues, we deal with homelessness. So it's good to make sure that we have a good working relationship with the community-based organizations, medical organizations, because ultimately these are the people that we need the resources for, right?
That's
When
right.
someone is suffering from a medical issue, we need someone to be able to somewhere where we can take them first of all, or get them transported to, but someone that can also help us address some of these social issues. And some of the people that law enforcement encounters daily, they are underserved. Okay, they're not undeserved, but underserved, meaning they
Underserved.
don't necessarily have the resources and the things available that other people have in order to get some of the help that they need. So we need those resources in the community. We need those community-based organizations to be able to help us address specifically some of the social issues. But again, resources to help us make sure that we can help those that are underserved.
Got it. Got it. Dr. Deidre Snell, good to see you again. We featured Dr. Snell last year when we were talking about dentistry and how important that is. So she is our good friend and local dentist here in Jackson. She says, how is law enforcement being trained on handling autistic people, especially nonverbals?
That's a very good question. I'm
Great
not
question.
exactly sure of a training to address autistic or nonverbals. But
Hmm.
this just goes back to what we talked about, our partnerships with those in the community
That's
that
right.
can
Right.
address these particular issues. We have that partnership and we have that relationship where we need you to help us. There's no crime being committed. Someone needs help. We need information. We need to be able to relay information. We're not the subject matter experts when it comes to handling autistic and nonverbals. But guess what? There are some that are. So we make sure
Hmm.
that we have that working relationship where we can rely on them to help us when we have to encounter situations such as this.
Yep, that's right. That's right. Thank you for that question. I got Driscoll's question, and then whoever gets in the last question, because if we've got 8:11, we've got about 5 minutes left. So whoever gets in this last question, but let's go with my frat brother, Dr. Driscoll Duvall. What is the single most impactful thing that the average citizen or local business can do right now to assist the Hinds County Sheriffs and JPD? Excellent.
That's a very good question. The main thing is communication and relationship. Make sure that there is communication is established, right? And that we are able to effectively communicate. We need people to communicate with us, just like the public expects us to communicate with them. So when we're talking about something as simple as that, the first thing that comes to my mind is just making sure that we have that open line of communication. When you have that open line of communication, so many things can happen just from having that open line of communication. You've established trust, you've established a relationship, you've established a partnership, and that open line of communication is just like a tree branch. It can take off and go into so many different directions. So that would be probably the most impactful thing that I can think of would be an open line of communication.
All right. You heard it first there. So if you guys have one more thing, well, we're going to go ahead and wrap up. If someone's, we're going to take one more question in there. If you guys are going to sneak one in there. But otherwise, Sheriff, man, we really appreciate you. I would love for you to tell our viewers and supporters, of course, well, they know who you are, but, if they have an issue, if they need to get in contact with your staff, would you mind just maybe letting them know how they can reach you or how they can reach your staff, and if you have anything coming up, any events or anything that you would like people to know about, I'd love for you to have the floor and let everyone know.
Well, we are looking forward to the holiday season, of course, Doc. And one thing that both the Hinds County Sheriff's Office, and I will be still in my official capacity during the holiday season. I'm sure with the Jackson Police Department. Also, we want people to feel safe. So when we're talking about events coming up, there will be safety measurements that will be rolled out from both respective departments regarding safety for holiday shopping, the holiday season. We want people to enjoy. We want people to feel safe, and we want people to know that law enforcement is out, and at the law enforcement presence is out there also. So these are some of the this time of year. This is what we are geared towards, and we're getting ready for. If you ever need to get in contact with me, my email address is tjones at co.hinds.ms.us. And the number to the Hinds County Sheriff's Office, my office is 601 96, I'm sorry, 974 2900. And of course, the number to the office of the chief of the Jackson Police Department is 601 960 1217.
Okay, excellent. You guys, I know we just had the fair took place, and I didn't make it out this year, man. But from what I heard, there were no casualties. There were no issues. So I would love to. I guess I'll take the opportunity for the final question on that. Let's just even say when it comes to the Mississippi State Fair, um, what, to what do you owe the success of that? With in today's climate, with everybody referring to people, YNs and all those things, and people having all these choppers and large guns and just all the things that people were afraid of, like why they don't want to go to events. And then even the things that we saw at homecoming and other cities, and they did have, unfortunately, several murders and things. So what do you owe the success of being able to have a large event like the state fair to? What did you do to help make that, secure that?
Communication and collaboration between several law enforcement agencies, uh, the state level, local level, as well as some of our federal partners also. Everybody collaborated, everybody provided resources for the state fair. And as you can see, it was probably one of the most secured and safest places um, uh, that anyone can go to or attend. So we contribute that success to the several agencies that were working together and collaborated to make sure that we bring safety to the Mississippi State Fair. There have been so many changes. There have been some rule changes, operational changes for the state fair, and of course, people had to adjust and abide by those. But of course, that was done for the safety of the people and the
Hmm.
safety of those that are or would be attending the state fair also.
Excellent. Man, we'll leave it there, Sheriff. Again, thank you so much, my good brother. And if you don't mind, to stay. I'm going to run the credits, and then if you'll just hang on with me, we'll go off live. We do this every week, just for like 2 to 3 minutes, and just kind of, wrap with you, man, a debriefing, if you will. So
Sure will.
yeah, thanks so much. So again, thank you so much to official Sheriff Tyree Jones and also interim police chief. I want everybody to give it to him. Thank you for that. We will have another amazing guest. I won't even put it out there yet. We're going to confirm with this gentleman, but he's another person who's held a very, very high office in the land, and so you don't want to miss him either. And so we'll be back, and we'll also, who knows, maybe one day we'll get the sheriff and Christian Vance to help us with swimming lessons. So we're going to go from there. Thank you again, everyone, for being a part of this. So listen, don't forget, next Tuesday, 7 p.m., we will be right here, God willing. Again, we'll have our surprise guest. We'll let you know. Stay tuned to Dr. BTV, DOCTOR, the letter BTV on YouTube. If there's someone you want us to see, if you want to be on the program, if you want to make any comments, questions, concerns, please let us know. We're open to feedback. If you got a story or testimony, just let us know. God willing, we'll be here. See you next week, Tuesday, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, where we treat and discuss mind, body, and soul. And remember, as always, true wealth begins with good health. See you next Tuesday. Hello, I'm Dr. Michael Bookhardt, Come join us at our newest clinic location at Good Faith Wellness Center. We provide compassionate health care for your entire family, from virtual visits to office appointments. We're committed to providing the best care. We accept all insurances, and we provide monthly wellness plans. Let's start your family journey to a healthier, happier life. Schedule your appointment today, and remember, true wealth begins with good health. Hello, I'm Dr. Michael